Why hello everybody, so welcome to another Terrible Tales of Gaming Horror. Today we'll be talking about the Transcendent Law. Now, this came after I went to a few meetups and everything, and I went to a regular meetup where it was called Heavy War Games and all. So we're playing mostly the longer games and all. And so we went a few sessions. The first time I met this particular person, of which I'm not gonna name, with better advice, people have told me not better just to not name people, even though I don't mind. But let's call him the Law. All right, we call him Law. So the first time I met this guy was during a play that I was playing. First time, along with everybody at the table. Really, I think Dominant Species, and so we're all figuring out the game. It's a massive game, and we were all trying to figure our way out. We weren't doing too well. Let's just say we weren't making optimal moves, and the game dragged because we all were trying to figure out the rules and everything. And he would pop by once in a while. And the bad part came when his game finished, and he came over to hang out with us, and he sat beside the Dominant Species table. And that's when his personality, I started to figure out, maybe wasn't the nicest. Because what he would do, he was watching the table, and he played Dominant Species before and all of that. And he would always wait, and this part is okay, where you wait for the person to finish their turn, alright, and then say what the person should have done or something like that. That's okay, but the problem is the way he said it. He would wait literally for almost every person. He would wait for that person to finish their turn, and then he would say something like, wow, why you do that? Like, you see like this, you don't score all the points. You should have moved there. Right? Obviously, the people over there are weak. I mean, that kind of, it's just the way he said it. It was just so rude. And here's the thing. From the minute he sat down, almost every single time someone finished a turn, he had to give a comment like that. And it was just tiring to hear him just keep doing it. At one point, one person actually said to him, before they moved their turn, they said, what should I do? He turned to him and like, tell me what to do. And then he said like, oh, I don't want to tell you what to do. And then the person did his move, and then he told him how dumb his move was. It's like, seriously. And that was then the game went on, it really dragged, and everybody was annoyed as hell by then. No one enjoyed the game. Not to the fault of the host, but it's just that, when you're being called dumb for next 2 hours or so, it's just tiring. So the game finished, and truth be told, I won't lie, I purposely just ended the game, even though it was a very bad move. Or I just wanted to finish the game and go home. So I just ended it, and we helped pack up and everything, and then I rushed off because, I didn't want to stay and talk with that guy around. And then when I reached the bus stop, who is behind me but the Law? And it was awkward because I tried talking to him. I mean, this is the first time I met this guy. He wasn't too nice, but I just thought, what, be civil. So I talked to him, and throughout the whole time waiting for the bus, it's the same thing. He kept telling me about how stupid my moves were. It's like he kept saying things like, wow, you see your last turn? You don't even score the points when you take the cut. What's the point? And I was thinking in my head, like, I wanted to tell him because he's like you. That's why I just wanted to end the game. Oh, that of course, and I won't lie that the store was closing. So, and most of the time, if I see the bus, I would just then I would just like I need to go, talk to you next time or whatever. With this guy, I saw the bus and I go, okay, I need to go bye. I didn't even let him finish the sentence, and I was like, just bye, and go on the bus. So that was the first time I met this guy. So it's already a bad experience, all right. And so the second time, again, he turned out this meeting again, was before the whole games was set up and everything. I usually get there early. I always feel one shouldn't be late, and no, 10 minutes late is still late, so I always appear early, all right. So I was there early, and he was there early. So again, to be civil, talk to him. Me, another two guys, and him were talking. And this had just been after an event called overnight gaming, which is basically we play from what can be, I think, 6 p.m. all the way to the next day 6 a.m. 12-hour games and all that. And we started talking about that session, and he actually made just a very side comment that he saw some people playing King of Tokyo. Except he said it like this, I did that, and then I was playing, and then I saw those people play King of Tokyo, that group. I won't say the names, but there was few people playing King of Tokyo. Alright? And you would think there's nothing wrong with that, right? So that's why I said, like, what's wrong with King of Tokyo? He's like, those light games, yeah. I don't play those games anymore. And he started, here's the worst part, he started pinpointing the people. I won't play with those people that, they play those kind of games, And it's like, what do you mean? There's like just those light games. Because I transcended that level. I'm not kidding, he used the word transcended. And I was so pissed off by this remark. Because, it's like Tom Vassell said, he's like a Grognard. He looks down at people who play games that he just feels is not on his level. So I told him, like, you know what, I play games to enjoy playing with the people I play with. Not to look down on people. And then he's like, no, it's not that I'm saying that I look down on them, but me, I'm above those games already. Above, it's like, and from that point onwards, I won't lie, I just said to myself, I'm not playing with this guy. Alright? So that day I didn't play with him, obviously. And the third time I met this guy, I know, like, seriously, it was the weirdest thing that I already sat down, I was playing with this Liberté, great game, alright, and my favorite player in the world also turned up, and he was explaining the game, and here's the thing, he hasn't played it in years, so none of us knew really the rules, so we were trying to figure out the rules again, and I was already committed. Most of the time, if I don't like play a game, I would just stand up and just excuse myself, but by then he was already explaining the rules and everything, so it would just be really awkward, and to me, it's not just about you. At that point, if I stood up, it would just sour the mood, so I stayed in the game, and his behavior, once again, quite amazing. He sat down, he knew nothing about the game to what I know, alright, and the guy was explaining the rules, and he kept interrupting the guy explaining the rules. Literally, he was like, the person will explain one thing, then he will say like, what does this do? And then the person had to go, all of us in fact at the table had to keep going, like, he'll get to it. And he kept interrupting. And it was like he wasn't listening, because he kept asking same questions after that. Like, when already the person explained what this does, you then go, what does this do? It's like, okay. So the game starts, and we were trying to figure out a lot of the rules. And a lot of the times when there was a rules question, he never once picked up the rule book, but every time someone said, example, can I do this? And then the person said, me, I think so. So then the person would pick up the rule book and check. And he would just make a comment like, of course it's allowed. Like, look at this other move, it's so obviously you can do it. And then the person will find the rule that says he can't, then he's like, oh, okay, now I make sense. Like, you see, if this happens and this happens, you know what I mean? All in hindsight, but he would never pick up the rule book, so he just kept, it's like, just whining and whining, and by the end of it, the game ended, and he lost. He wasn't last place or anything, but he lost. And his reasoning, I don't kid you, was this. Wow, I actually could have get this many points, then I would have won the game, but I think because the rules weren't explained properly to me. Basically, his thing was, he didn't win the game because the guy didn't explain the rules right. But here's the thing, all of us had that handicap in that way. And here's the thing, the guy was nice enough to teach the game, even though he hasn't played it in years. If that guy that wasn't there, no one could play that game anyway. It was, you just want to slap the guy. But, amazing that even with that guy around, I still love Liberté, and that's why that was the first game that I bought that could not be played 2-player. It's a fantastic game. Alright, and, I was just openly against this guy now. So, after that, I got some more private groups and all that. and started asking around and talking to some people about him, the law, and I found out that if you actually, you know, check his meetup profiles and all that, that he actually has his phone number and everything on the meetup, and you know, he is basically open advertising that he games. And to what I know, again, I don't follow this guy, but to what I know from many people who have been in the community longer than I, he has not many people too keen to play with him. Alright, and again, take this as a biased view. I cannot say, maybe he's extremely popular, I don't know, but to what I know, not many people are too keen to, like, gung-ho to game with him. I'll give you an example. One group I was in, and you have to consider that I was in the group, so I was quite open about my distaste for him. He wanted to join, you know, he wanted to join the WhatsApp group, to join in the games and everything, and it was an unanimous no. Literally, everybody's answer was no, this guy can't join. So, you know, and in fact, one of the members, I remember him telling me that, you know, the fact that this guy's profile on Meetup states he has that many games and his phone number, and he cannot find a regular gaming group, is a huge red flag. So, in conclusion, this is exactly what Tom Vassell was talking about with the Grognards. You know, people who look down at people for literally, for them liking a certain kind of game. You know, that he's saying, I don't mind if someone doesn't like a game I like, if they explain it. Like the Lagoon review for Tom Vassell, it was fantastic. I think that was one of his best reviews ever, because he was honest, he knew there was a good buzz to the game, yet he still honestly said he didn't like it, he explained it well. This guy has the tendency to just, you know, even if he explains why he doesn't like a game, like I said, it's how he says it also is so rude, and he has such an attitude where it's like, oh, you're playing those games, you know, like, you know, it just makes you just want to run away from the guy rather than play with him. You know, you rather literally just don't play a game for the whole night than play with him. The moral of the story, seriously, if you want to be like this guy and not compromise for anything but your own personal enjoyment, and that is, I think, his biggest issue, is that when he plays a game, there's only his way. There's no other way to play the game. You know, like for me, I like team and all that, you know. So, but to me, if I play Euro or like even Zokin, I'll play it, you know, and I'll try my best and everything. Literally for him, he would sit down and play a game, and if it's a game he doesn't like, and here's a strange part, he will still continue to play the game and complain all the way. You know, if you wanna be like that guy, you can. You end up like him, the Transcendent law with no one to play with, and that's up to you. So, thank you very much. Till next word.